North Korea, a hidden world beyond reach. No iPhones, no Google, no Starbucks. Just strict laws, deep traditions, and a nation sealed off from the world. From Pyongyang's quiet streets to its legendary landmarks, North Korea remains a land of secrets and fascination. Geography and climate. North Korea spans approximately 46,500 square miles, comparable to the size of Mississippi. Yet, its significance lies far beyond geography. Nestled between China and Russia to the north, and sharing a tense, militarized border with South Korea to the south, North Korea occupies one of the world's most geopolitically sensitive regions. This position has long cast the country as both a strategic buffer and a flashpoint of conflict, shaping its defensive mindset and complex global relationships. The climate, equally challenging, swings between brutal extremes. Winters are harsh, with temperatures dropping as low as 30 degrees Celsius, while summers bring intense heat and humidity. Though the winter landscape can appear beautifully serene under a blanket of snow, the reality is far harsher. Heavy snowfall disrupts transportation, cutting off rural communities and halting the flow of essential supplies. For farmers, frozen soil shortens the growing season and deepens food insecurity. These environmental hardships are amplified by North Korea's economic isolation and dependence on self-reliance. While Pyongyang enjoys relative stability, rural areas suffer disproportionately, widening the urban-rural gap. To truly understand North Korea, one must see how its geography and unforgiving climate shape not only daily survival, but the very structure of its society. What do you think about life in conditions of 30-degree winters and scorching, humid summers in North Korea? Share your thoughts. Society and population. A nation bound by unity and state control. North Korea is home to roughly 26 million people, with the vast majority concentrated in the meticulously planned capital of Pyongyang, a city that is not only a political and administrative heart, but also a carefully curated showcase of the regime's power and order. Pyongyang is more than a capital. It is a living symbol of the government's authority, designed to project discipline, modernity, and national pride. However, living in this capital is an exclusive privilege. Ordinary citizens cannot freely choose to reside there. Instead, the state meticulously selects those deemed loyal and trustworthy enough to inhabit the city. This strict control over residency reflects the broader system of surveillance and loyalty-based hierarchy that permeates North Korean society. The population is ethnically homogeneous, composed entirely of ethnic Koreans. Yet the Korean language spoken in the north has gradually evolved in isolation from its southern counterpart, developing unique vocabulary and expressions that reinforce the distinct national identity. Language here is not merely a tool for communication. It is a pillar of ideological education, further distancing North Koreans from the outside world and reinforcing their unique cultural narrative. Every citizen grows up immersed in a singular, unyielding narrative that there is only one legitimate Korea and its rightful capital is Pyongyang. This belief is deeply ingrained through state-controlled education, propaganda, and daily life, shaping a population that views national unity as an absolute truth. The dream of reunification, under the leadership of Pyongyang, remains an unwavering part of North Korean ideology. Time and calendar, a chronology of isolation. North Korea deliberately distances itself from global norms, even in the measurement of time. Unlike most countries that follow the widely used Gregorian calendar, North Korea operates on the Juche calendar, a system that begins not with the birth of Christ, but with the birth of the nation's founding leader, Kim Il-sung. This calendar system is not a mere formality. It is a powerful symbol of the regime's ideological self-reliance and rejection of Western influence. For example, While the rest of the world recognizes the year as 2025, in North Korea, it is counted as Juche, year 114. This distinctive timekeeping system reinforces a sense of national exceptionalism and historical continuity, anchoring the collective memory of the people firmly to the revolutionary legacy of their leadership. By framing history through its own lens, North Korea nurtures a worldview that places itself at the center of a unique and enduring historical journey. North Korea counts time its own way. Does this make you more curious about their culture? Tell us. Pyongyang, a city of imposed order and silent control. Pyongyang presents an image of pristine cleanliness and orderly design, with wide boulevards and impressive high-rise buildings. Yet beneath this facade lies a reality shaped by control and scarcity. While the skyline features many towering structures, a surprising number of these buildings lack elevators, revealing the stark contrast between architectural ambition and everyday practicality. Private vehicles are an exceptionally rare sight in the capital. Instead, the streets are primarily reserved for the few who hold positions of privilege within the government or military. The absence of motorcycles on the roads is another peculiar characteristic, further emphasizing the state's rigid control over personal mobility. Public transportation, however, is a notable point of pride. Pyongyang boasts one of the deepest metro systems in the world, plunging approximately 110 meters underground. This dual-purpose design serves both as a daily transport system and as a potential nuclear shelter in times of conflict. Complementing the metro are double-decker buses, street trams, and a limited fleet of taxis, forming a tightly regulated network that sustains urban mobility while ensuring surveillance over citizens' movements. In Pyongyang, every aspect of urban life, from architecture to transportation, reflects the state's vision of order, and ideological purity. The city operates not just as a place to live, but as a stage-managed environment designed to reinforce the authority of the regime and the uniformity of its society. Street scenes, Pyongyang's unique urban icons. On the streets of Pyongyang, certain images stand out so distinctly that they have become symbols not only of the city, but of the nation's carefully curated identity. Among them, the female traffic police officers are perhaps the most iconic. Selected for their height, beauty, and exceptional eyesight, these women perform their duties with a grace that borders on performance art. Their meticulously choreographed gestures, crisp uniforms, and poise at intersections have turned them into living symbols of order and discipline, offering a rare, almost theatrical sight for both local and the few foreign visitors allowed into the country. Adding to the militarized aesthetic of daily life, uniformed soldiers are a common presence in public spaces. This visibility is not coincidental but a natural outcome of North Korea's extensive conscription system. Men typically serve around 10 years, while women remain in service until the age of 23. As a result, military uniforms are woven into the visual fabric of everyday life, reinforcing the omnipresence of the armed forces and the state's emphasis on readiness and loyalty. Private automobiles, meanwhile, are an extraordinary rarity. It is estimated that only about 30,000 cars exist across the entire nation, an astonishingly low number for a country of 26 million people. The overwhelming majority of these vehicles belong to the government and the military, leaving ordinary citizens reliant on public transportation or on foot. This scarcity of personal vehicles is not merely an economic reality, but a reflection of state policy that tightly controls individual mobility and prioritizes collective over personal ownership. A centrally planned economy, rare and resilient. North Korea persists as one of the few remaining nations in the world steadfastly committed to a centralized, state-planned economy, a model that most of the world abandoned decades ago. Under this system, the government exerts near-total control over production, distribution, and pricing, leaving minimal room for private enterprise or market-driven mechanisms. Remarkably, housing, healthcare, education, and public utilities are provided entirely free of charge. This cradle-to-grave welfare structure aims to ensure that every citizen's basic needs are met, at least in principle, and serves as a pillar of the regime's ideological claim to self-sufficiency and social equality. Even more unusual, the North Korean populace does not pay personal income taxes, a rarity in today's world. Yet this tax-free existence is paradoxical. While it may appear to reduce financial burdens on citizens, it actually reflects the state's overarching dominance in resource allocation, where the government owns and controls nearly all means of production. Estimates suggest that the average cost of living in North Korea hovers around $1,797 per month, approximately 32% lower than in the United States. However, such figures must be approached with caution. Due to the country's opacity and absence of transparent economic reporting, reliable pricing data remains elusive. Markets do exist in limited forms, especially in the so-called jangmadang, informal markets. But prices fluctuate wildly, and access to goods is heavily dependent on social status and proximity to urban centers. In this tightly controlled system, scarcity and privilege walk hand in hand, creating an economic landscape that is both rigid and unpredictable. Architectural symbols of national pride. North Korea's monumental architecture is a direct extension of its political narrative, vast, ambitious, and designed to awe both domestic and foreign audiences. These grandiose structures are not mere buildings. They are ideological statements carved into concrete and steel. Take, for example, the Rungrado Mayday Stadium in Pyongyang, which boasts an astonishing capacity of up to 150,000 spectators, making it the largest stadium in the world by seating. Far beyond hosting sports events, this colossal arena serves as a stage for mass and military parades, where thousands of performers execute synchronized displays of loyalty and unity, reinforcing the collective spirit of the nation. Another towering symbol is the Pyongyang Hotel, a 105-story pyramid-shaped skyscraper that once claimed the title of the tallest hotel in the world. Its distinctive, futuristic silhouette dominates Pyongyang's skyline, though its long and troubled construction history has made it a global curiosity. Intended to project an image of modernity and technical prowess, the building remains a testament to the state's grand ambitions, even amid practical challenges. No less important is Kim Il-sung Square, the central venue for North Korea's most significant parades and state ceremonies. Located at the heart of Pyongyang, this vast plaza is where citizens gather in perfectly regimented formations, creating breathtaking spectacles of unity and discipline. From here, the leadership addresses the nation, reinforcing the symbolic bond between ruler and people. These architectural marvels are far more than physical structures. They function as visual propaganda, encapsulating North Korea's desire to project power, resilience, and an unyielding national identity to the world. Culture and festivals, collective celebrations of loyalty and heritage. North Korea's cultural life revolves around carefully orchestrated national events that serve both as festive occasions and as grand displays of loyalty to the ruling family and the state. Among these, the most significant is Day of the Sun, celebrated every year on April 15th to honor the birthday of the nation's founding leader, Kim Il-sung. Far from an ordinary public holiday, it is a full-scale national spectacle. The festivities include dazzling fireworks, elaborate military parades, and mass gatherings that transform cities into stages of unwavering reverence. Citizens are mobilized en masse to participate, creating an overwhelming sense of unity and shared purpose. Equally remarkable is the Arirang Mass Games, which has earned global recognition as the largest mass gymnastics performance in the world, involving over 100,000 participants. This meticulously choreographed event is more than an athletic display. It is a vivid expression of collective identity. Each movement, each formation is designed to portray narratives of the country's history, achievements, and future ambitions. From the stands, the sight of thousands moving in perfect synchrony is both mesmerizing and symbolic, showcasing the nation's emphasis on discipline and harmony. North Korea's cultural calendar also honors traditional festivities, including Lunar New Year and the Lantern Festival, when hundreds of brightly lit lanterns ascend into the night sky. These celebrations, while deeply rooted in Korean heritage, are infused with the state's messaging, blending age-old customs with modern ideological expression. They offer a rare moment of color and joy in a society otherwise marked by rigid order, reminding both participants and observers of the enduring cultural undercurrents beneath the surface of state control. Culinary heritage, a taste of tradition and pride. North Korean cuisine, though less globally recognized than its southern counterpart, is a vibrant and diverse reflection of the nation's cultural richness and regional diversity. At the heart of this culinary tradition lies kimchi, a quintessential Korean dish of fermented vegetables. What sets North Korea apart is its remarkable variety. Across the country, hundreds of distinct regional styles of kimchi exist, each with its own local twist in ingredients and fermentation methods. These variations not only preserve local culinary identities, but also reflect the nation's agricultural heritage and resourcefulness. Another standout dish is Pyongyang cold noodles, known locally as naengmyeon. This refreshing delicacy features chewy buckwheat noodles served in an icy beef bone broth, often garnished with slices of radish, cucumber, and sometimes boiled egg or meat. More than just a meal, naengmyeon carries cultural significance, traditionally enjoyed during summer months and at special gatherings, symbolizing longevity and resilience, themes that resonate deeply within the North Korean narrative. Adding to the nation's culinary pride is Taedonggang beer, a locally brewed lager produced with British brewing technology. Taedonggang has become a symbol of North Korea's aspirations to match international standards in food and beverage production. Its crisp flavor and growing domestic popularity highlight the regime's efforts to showcase the homegrown successes, even in the face of international isolation. Through its culinary heritage, North Korea tells a story of resilience, cultural continuity, and quiet pride in its distinct identity, even as access to ingredients and variety remain constrained by broader economic realities. Regulations for foreign visitors, controlled encounters with the outside world. For those few who are permitted to cross its heavily fortified borders, visiting North Korea is a strictly managed experience, governed by a web of detailed regulations designed to control every aspect of the journey. Foreign tourists are prohibited from using the local currency, the North Korean won, and must instead rely on foreign denominations such as euros, US dollars, or Chinese yuan. This policy not only simplifies economic control, but also reinforces the separation between locals and visitors. Photography is another area under tight restriction. Tourists are explicitly forbidden from photographing military personnel, construction sites, or long queues for consumer goods. Images that could contradict the state's carefully maintained image of prosperity and order. Even when photographing statues of the country's leaders, visitors must capture the full body and never from behind, a reflection of the deep reverence demanded toward the nation's leadership. Interactions between ordinary citizens and foreign visitors are similarly constrained. Most locals are wary of engaging with tourists, fearing that any unintended association could attract the scrutiny of state surveillance. This enforced social distance maintains the government's control over the narrative presented to outsiders while limiting the risk of information exchange. Access to North Korea itself is highly restricted. Visas are typically only issued through China or Russia, reinforcing the regime's geopolitical alignments. Since 2017, American citizens have been entirely barred from entry, while European visitors must join state-approved tours accompanied by official guides. These tightly controlled itineraries ensure that every foreign guest sees only what the state intends to reveal, preserving the opaque veil that surrounds the country. Visiting North Korea is less a journey of exploration and more an encounter with a living exhibition of state power, where every step is choreographed and every view meticulously framed. North Korea feels like a world apart, sealed off, strictly controlled, and deeply rooted in a rare, old-school centralized system. It's a land of both mystery and discipline, where every step requires careful preparation and full respect for the rules. If you're curious about this hidden country, follow us to uncover more secrets inside its closed borders.